just wanted to talk, that's all.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back. We are still 12 days out from pitchers and catchers, which has me excited, but I didn't expect to be this excited this morning. I just had a conversation that I couldn't wait until Monday to tell you about. So around 9 o'clock this morning, I'm recording this interview with Geoff Pontes of Baseball America. We're talking about the top 30 Yankees prospect list that just came out. And it's for a podcast that I'm planning to release on Monday. And a lot of the conversation was, about how some of the top prospects maybe took a step back last year and some things that they could do to get better in 2025. For instance, Geoff thinks that if Spencer Jones can cut his strikeout rate down to 27 or 28%, his natural size is going to make him extremely dangerous in the same way that Aaron Judge's size makes him extremely dangerous when he makes contact and could elevate his prospect status. But then we talked about George Lombard Jr. And he's a guy that I'm excited about. I know many of you are excited about him. We did a prospect breakdown about a couple weeks ago, and we had a little breakout clip about him from that. It's done very well. And there were some things about his swing that I really liked, and so I asked Geoff about them, and he seemed to confirm them. But he also said that Lombard is the guy that around the league teams are asking about the most and saying that it is, kind of underrated as a prospect. So I want to show you this quick little breakout that we have where I talked to Geoff Pontes of Baseball America about George Lombard Jr. Then I'll be back to talk about it a little bit more. And again, the full podcast comes out on Monday. Enjoy. Let's talk a little bit about a guy who, if you were going to create a shortstop from central casting, George Lombard is the guy. Beautiful swing, athletic body type. You look at his stride, the way he jumps, the way he moves. I see a young Carlos Correa. Now, I'm not saying he's going to become Carlos Correa, but just from a physical standpoint, he even looks like him in the face. Great smile. They would say good face in Moneyball. What are your thoughts on George Lombard Jr.?
Yeah, and of course, has some major league bloodlines. His father, George Lombard, was a longtime major leaguer, coach as well. Somebody that's just a student of the game. He grew up around clubhouses, whether his father was a ball player at the time or a coach. I think that sort of exposure often sort of lends itself to players who are just more advanced in terms of their overall tools and just sort of understanding of the game. That's a big part of it. I think now is like we see all these tools, we see all these underlying metrics, and sometimes it's just a matter of like, how well does this guy play the game, right? We all know players like that. If we played baseball growing up, we all played with players like that. There's just like those like innate decisions that are like split second things. Like it's just so drilled in him that he makes the right play all the time. He was a guy that consistently throughout the top 100 process, we had him sort of on the back end of the list, like maybe right outside the 100. And we had 7 or 8 different front office pieces of feedback, and we send it around to all 30 teams. We try to, collect as much feedback as we can. And none of these pieces of feedback were from the actual Yankees organization, but we had 8 different pieces of feedback that were like, you need to move up George Lombard Jr. He was the highest green arrow guy in our feedback sort of process. Now, some of that is people may say, hey, you're already high enough on this guy. You already have him as high as you need to have him. He was the guy that I think the public perception of Lombard is detached from how much the industry is in on Lombard. And that's why you've seen him on so many top 100 lists.
One thing I like about his swing, and I want you to tell me if I'm just, out of my mind here. He hits on that closed front side, and he's got a little Mike Trout. Do you see that? Let's take a look back at this swing. Let's see if we can rewind it a little bit here. We'll get to the highlight. See how he kind of hits on that closed front side and kind of rolls over that front ankle?
It's what I would call a scissor kick. It's similar to what Chase DeLauder has one too. It's actually like Bryson DeChambeau, like the golfer, sort of hits with a as well. It is a dynamic movement. When I see somebody like that, it sort of portends itself to power. It's somebody that doesn't have to be like overly rotational to sort of rotate really quickly. That's a great lower half. That's really what that is. So that's a scissor kick. It is exactly what Mike Trout does when he's hitting, and how he utilizes and sort of leverages his lower half, which is a big part of hitting and getting to power.
Well, that's a good thing to hear. But the thing that's got me excited is how many pieces of feedback you guys got that move him up. So maybe I'll move him up on the guys that I pay a little special attention to this year. All right, so there you go. Great conversation with Geoff Pontes. Again, we're going to have the full podcast out on Monday. I love that he confirmed that there's a little bit of Mike Trout, the scissor kick. I hadn't heard that term to describe that type of lower half movement yet, and now we know what to call it. But, when you talk about shortstop prospects, I look at the guy, and his body type reminds me of all the best shortstops I've ever seen. So I want to see how he develops this year. I know that people are kind of down on the 231 he hit in his first little cup of coffee in the minor leagues. Don't worry too much about that. A lot of guys really struggle to adjust to pro ball. And then once they get into the groove a little bit, they start to take off like a rocket. I think he could be one of those guys. And we talk about which prospects could move fastest through the system. He had two names that were pretty interesting to talk about. So again, that full podcast will come out on Monday morning at 9 a.m., so tune in for that. I just wanted to have this little follow-up because I was so excited, and I wanted you guys to be excited headed into the weekend. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you on Monday. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.